$56 an ounce for silver is very exciting, but the coin shop I ran into actually made me realize I should hold my horses. My goal actually is to pick up a kilo. That's what I'm looking for. And $50 is my buy price. But what this dealer explained to me made me realize that I might be jumping the gun. Check this out. If you're interested in silver, click that link in the description. Money Metals is holding this contest of giving away 20 silver eagles, 20 eagles every month. I put a link down below. Click that link. Do not leave 20 eagles sitting on the table. Don't be that guy. Click that link. Be the next winner on that list and take home that silver. I'm Adam, your host here at Pound of Gold. And I believe that these dealers, our local coin shop dealers that we speak to, they're the guys that are at ground zero. They're in the trenches. And really, more often than not, they know what's going on with silver more than anyone else. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you a clip from my interview with John Lee, because he also feels the same way about this metal as this conversation I had with the dealer. And John Lee is really great at explaining exactly what's going on. So the way I see it is, look, I came from the world of trading and finance before I got into precious metals in any way. And one thing I learned in my years in that world, that corporate world, that finance world, is that often it could be one player. It could be one whale, one person with deep pockets, big funds, that could really change the price of something that you really wouldn't think that that would happen to. And apparently, and again, I'm going to show you this clip from John Lee. He really explains this really well. We're seeing that, so we've seen it in silver, and we could be seeing it again, because when we had this run up in price to the all-time high just recently, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, hitting $120 an ounce, we all believed, and I believe this also, that what we experienced was industrial demand. We experienced a new era for silver in which the silver was just being sucked out of the ground for many years running, and it got to a point where we are today, in which we have the sixth year running of a deficit, which means the amount of silver that we have above ground does not meet the demand for industry, solar, for AI, for EVs, all that. And for that reason, silver blew up. But apparently, what we're seeing now is that might not necessarily be the case. And as we head down to $50 an ounce silver, and I know for many of you, certainly for me, that's my buy price, $50. Again, at the top of this video, I mentioned that my goal is to pick up another kilo. I'd love to get this at $50 an ounce. I really would. I mean, here I'm showing you $2 an ounce. Even that would make this 2-ouncer just $100, right? It makes a big difference. Presently, at the time of this recording, we're at $56 an ounce. So we're heading down there. And I want you to watch this full clip from my conversation with John Lee, because he has decades of experience analyzing this market. He is the CEO of Silver Elephant Mining, so he's deep in the weeds in this world. And he also, just like this dealer I spoke to this morning, he feels the same way. It could just take one big player. I believe John Lee refers to these investors as fringe, right? A fringe investor, somebody that happens to have deep pockets, large funds. They see that they can make a big profit in this metal, in silver. They're not like you and I. They're not silver stackers, but they make a move, and it could literally really shift a small market like silver. So check out this full clip.
And so the silver run up, this is what I call a fringe institution investors getting into silver. So it's almost like somebody really well-to-do discover silver, and then they figure all the fundamentals, and then they will make a go at it. Or sometimes, and as the case in July last year, my belief is some of the gold investors may well-to-do that bought at 1,800 in 2024 and they sold at 5,200, and just take like a fraction of that profit, which is trillions of dollars,
Yeah,
smidgen of that into silver, and that will wreak havoc in silver because it's such a small market.
because
And
it's so small. And I think that makes sense when we look at silver compared to gold, because recently, gold, of course, for the everyday gold bug who wants to accumulate their gold, it's completely out of reach. Uh, the half ounce the quarter ounce is the new ounce, right? I mean, that's really all people
yes,
can afford. But at the same time, and this is, I think, speaks to your point, that there's still, for example, India the culture of accumulating gold is it's part of the culture is accumulating gold,
Yes.
and they are still accumulating gold. So it's not necessarily right when you're showing that industrial demand isn't necessarily moving the price. It's people who have deep pockets in any form that's really going to move the price. But is gold considered a small market the way you say silver is such a small market?
No, gold and silver are very, very different. Every ounce of gold that's ever been mined are still in existence. So
Mm,
I think it's around 250,000 tons or 200,000 tons of gold. But above inventory of silver, nobody really know the answer. So the gold and silver market are very, very different. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but in terms of gold, I mean, you're looking at tens of trillions of dollars in above ground inventories. But silver, I think, would be hard priced to find up to a billion ounce of silver in above ground inventory. So that would equate to only $100 billion versus upwards of 10 to $30 trillion of gold that's above ground.
And for your company, Silver Elephant, where are you mining?
The company is mining silver in Bolivia.
Oh, okay.
And Bolivia, for those that are not familiar, Bolivia sits right above Argentina. And the
Okay.
word Argentina is coming from the fact that they have a lot of silver in
Mm,
Argentina. And the interesting fact is Bolivia today actually produces more silver than Argentina. And it is the sixth largest silver producer in the world, producing.
really?
Yes, it does about 50 to 60 million ounces of silver per year. So you're
Huh.
right, is the top six silver producer behind Mexico, behind China, and behind Peru, and not ahead of just about everybody else.
And how long has your company been in Bolivia?
We have been exploring silver for more than a decade. And so we purchased that project in 2015 when silver was $16 an ounce. The project is one of the largest silver on well, it is on record, Wikipedia, the second largest silver mine based on historical production of 600 million ounces. And that was the silver from Bolivia, from this mine in particular, that fuel that provided the money for the Spaniards to do the conquering of the worlds back in the 18th century. So
Huh.
it's an interesting fact. And the company right now is producing silver, is generating cash flow, and it's a project that I've been involved in for the last 11 years, since 2015.
And many people, when we hear about uh, silver and demand for silver, well, why can't we just turn on the tap? Why can't we just, like, you have a mine? Why can't we just get more silver from the ground? And therefore, that would impact the price. Like, why can't that just work in that way?
Well, as I mentioned, if you look at my production on an annual basis, it's increasing at a very single digit rate, which is ideal form of mining because you don't want to increase your money supply too rapid.
Hmm.
Mining is an extremely tough business. I mean, like if you're talking about an underground mining operation, such as our project, Silver Elephant in Bolivia, right? Your portal, the size of your portal, which is the tunnel, it usually measures about 2 to 3 meter high and about 1.5 meter to 2.5 meter width. So you're essentially constrained by the dimensions of
Mm.
your of physical dimensions of your mining operation. So it's not something like you can that silver double that you'll be able to size up your tunnel and get more silver, dig silver more out of the ground. And secondly, so over 70 majority, I'm not sure the exact percentage, but over 50% of the silver, probably around 70% of the silver are produced as a byproduct, which means that economics of silver doesn't play it does 100% plays into the economics of the mine. So a lot of times these silver mines are actually predominantly lead and zinc
Yeah.
mine, which there's a trace of silver byproduct. And depending on the silver price and then other base metal prices, a lot of the mines actually toggle between a primary base metal deposit versus a primary silver mine.
Hmm.
So it's not like something. It's definitely not something like because silver price went up, then you're gonna see a lot of silver production. On the contrary, in fact, because it takes time to get a project permitted, to raise money, to plan for it, to apply for scale up environmental license, to get approval from the community, because that's all predicated on the initial studies of your throughput, right? So by the time you increase the size of your production, actually the silver already sort of retraced. And then another point is a lot of the silver executives are actually reluctant to increase production because you don't want to slap the mouth of which you don't want to slap the hand that feeds you, right? Because people understand if you increase supply, then obviously the price would go down.
That's another really interesting point that we cannot forget. Sometimes these executives in the world of silver, mining executives, whatever they may be, they may feel that way. They may feel like, oh, if they suck up more silver from the ground, that in a tiny market like silver, silver is not gold. It's a very small market. It could, as John Lee just showed, it could slap the hand that feeds them, meaning it could make the price go down because more metal is being put into the market. And so, of course, that could change the dynamic and we could get a drop in price. So I think that's very interesting, very telling for you and I as stackers. We need to understand how much power these big players really have in this market. Well, get your own silver. Click that link in the description. Thank you, Money Metals Exchange, for sponsoring this challenge. It's a great contest. 20 Eagles every month. They're giving it away. 20 Eagles. It's a great contest. Click that link. Be the next one on that list. Take home that silver. And I'll see you on the next one.